I always knew the day would come when my parents would choose my brother over me. I just didn't expect it to cost me $100,000. My name is Stacey, and I've spent 31 years being the backup plan, the safety net, the other child. You know the type, the one who gets good grades but never quite measures up to their siblings' mediocre achievements. That's what happens when you're born second to the golden child. Your brother made the football team, Dad would beam, while my academic decathlon trophies gathered dust in the garage. Carson could do no wrong, even when he was doing everything wrong. I remember the day they first asked to help manage my finances. I was 23, fresh out of college, landing my first real marketing job. "Honey," Mum said over Sunday dinner, her voice dripping with that sugary concern she's perfected over the years. "Your father and I have been talking. You're still so young, and with the economy these days." Dad cut in, "We think it's best if we oversee your savings account. For security and growth." I glanced at Carson, who was shoveling mashed potatoes into his mouth. He'd just gotten fired from his third job that year, but somehow that was always part of his journey. "I can manage my own money," I said quietly. "Of course you can, sweetie." Mum reached across the table to pat my hand. "But family takes care of family, right?" That's how it started. I gave them access, watching my savings grow month by month. Everything seemed fine until last Tuesday, when I noticed a $30,000 reallocation I never authorized. "Dad," I called him immediately. "There's money missing from my account." "Family emergency," he said dismissively. "Don't worry about it." "What emergency? Nobody told me about any emergency." "Stacey," his voice turned stern, that familiar tone that always made me shrink. "Sometimes parents have to make executive decisions. Trust the process." I hung up and called my best friend Ruby. "They did what?" She practically screamed through the phone. "Girl, you need to get your money out of there now." "They're my parents," I said weakly. "They wouldn't—" "Check the account history," Ruby interrupted. "How long has this been going on?" I spent that night combing through statements, my hands shaking as I uncovered smaller withdrawals dating back months. 5,000 here, 10,000 there. Always with some vague description like family investment or emergency fund. The next morning, I walked into my parents' house, unannounced. Mum was in the kitchen, humming while she arranged flowers, probably bought with my money. "Oh," she startled. "Stacey, honey, I didn't expect you." "Where's my money going?" I demanded. Her smile didn't waver. "Sit down. Let's have some tea." "No tea, Mum, just answers." Dad emerged from his study, frowning. "What's all this about?" $30,000, I said, plus all the other withdrawals. What are you doing with my money?" They exchanged that look, the one they always shared when Carson needed help. "Family takes care of family," Dad repeated his mantra. "Sometimes that means making sacrifices for the greater good." "Whose greater good?" The front door swung open, and Carson strutted in like he owned the place. "Hey, what's everyone doing here?" He grinned, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Having a family meeting without me." "Your sister is being dramatic about money," Mum sighed. "Again?" Carson smirked. "Come on, sis. Don't be selfish." I stood there, looking at their faces. Mum's practiced concern, Dad's stern disapproval, Carson's smug superiority. Something inside me snapped. "I want my account access changed," I said. "Today." "Don't be ridiculous," Dad waved his hand. "Everything we do is for this family's benefit." "Yeah," Carson chimed in. "Don't you trust Mum and Dad?" I left without another word, my mind racing. That night, I called Ruby again. "I need your help," I said. "You work in finance. How do I protect what's left?" "Finally," she replied. "Meet me tomorrow." Bring every document you have. We're going to make sure they never touch your money again." I hung up and stared at my reflection in the window. The dutiful daughter stared back, but something was different now. In her eyes, I saw a spark of defiance. They thought they had me figured out. The reliable one, the pushover, the eternal backup plan. But they forgot one thing. Even backup plans can fail. And I was about to become their worst financial nightmare. "I'm getting married," Carson's voice boomed through our parents' living room. "In Vegas, baby! And it's going to be epic!" I watched from the corner as Eloise, his fiancée, flashed her enormous diamond ring. Mum was already crying tears of joy, while Dad nodded approvingly. Another perfect moment for the golden child. "We're thinking the Bellagio," Eloise gushed. "Everything top tier, the works." "Whatever you want, sweetheart," Mom beamed. "This is a celebration of family tradition." I felt my phone vibrate, a banking alert. My stomach dropped as I opened it. Transfer completed, $100,000. The room started spinning. I excused myself to the bathroom, hands trembling as I called Ruby. "They took it all," I whispered, fighting back tears. "The entire savings account." "Check the other one," Ruby said firmly. I pulled up my secret account on my phone. The one Ruby helped me set up 2 years ago when we first suspected my parents were dipping into my savings. There it was, $127,000, safely hidden away. Half of every paycheck, every bonus, every gift, secretly diverted where they couldn't touch it. "It's safe," I breathed. "Good. Now, get back out there and play dumb. Let them think they won." I splashed water on my face and returned to the living room. Carson was showing Dad pictures of the Bellagio's presidential suite on his phone. "Stacey," Mum called out. "Come look at these flowers Eloise picked for the centerpieces. Aren't they divine?" "How much is all this costing?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Don't worry about that, honey," Mum waved dismissively. "Family duty, remember?" "Yeah, sis," Carson smirked. "Don't be a buzzkill." 2 weeks later, I sat through the most grotesque display of excess I'd ever witnessed. The Bellagio's ballroom dripped with crystal and gold. Eloise floated down the aisle in a dress that probably cost more than my car. My parents beamed from the front row, pride radiating from their faces. During the reception, I overheard Eloise talking to her bridesmaid near the bathroom. "Jose and Fatima are so generous," she giggled, slightly drunk. Well, Jose said he transferred everything Stacey had. Brave move, but that's what family's for, right? I gripped my champagne glass so hard I thought it might shatter. "Everything okay?" Ruby appeared beside me, looking concerned. "They planned this," I said through clenched teeth. "They knew exactly what they were doing." "Of course they did." Ruby took my glass before I could break it. "Question is, what are you going to do about it?" Before I could answer, Dad clinked his glass for attention. The room fell silent as he stood for his toast. "Today isn't just about Carson and Eloise," he announced. "It's about family, about sacrifice and tradition, about knowing that sometimes one must step aside so another can step forward." His eyes found mine across the room. There was no shame there, no guilt, only the certainty that he'd done the right thing. "To the happy couple," he raised his glass. "May your future be as bright as the path we've cleared for you." Everyone cheered. I felt sick. Later that night, I found Mum alone by the dessert table. "How could you?" I asked quietly. "Oh, honey," she smiled that patronizing smile. "You're still single. Your time will come." "My money won't. Family takes care of family," she repeated the old mantra. "Carson needed this. He has a wife now, a future to build. And what about my future? You've always been the responsible one." She patted my cheek. "You'll bounce back. You always do." I watched her walk away, joining Dad and Carson for photos. They looked perfect together, the happy family who'd just pulled off the heist of a lifetime. My phone buzzed. A text from Ruby. Ready to make them regret it? I looked at my brother, drunk on champagne and entitlement. At my parents, proud of their masterful manipulation. At Eloise, wearing a dress bought with my stolen dreams. Yes, I typed back. It's time. What they didn't know was that their perfect plan had a fatal flaw. They thought they'd taken everything, but they'd only gotten half. The other half was growing quietly in an account they didn't know existed, waiting for the right moment. They wanted to teach me about family duty? Fine. I'd teach them about consequences. The party raged on around me as I slipped out early, leaving no goodbye. In my purse was an invitation to their upcoming 3-month cruise, their dream retirement trip. Little did they know it would become their nightmare. Sometimes karma needs a little help, and I was about to become its favourite assistant. The morning after the wedding, I started digging. Not into the garden like Mum always did to calm her nerves, but into papers, records, and emails. The truth was buried somewhere, and I was going to unearth it. "Look who I found," Ruby said over lunch, sliding her phone across the table. The LinkedIn profile showed a familiar face. Harmony Powell, my parents' financial advisor. The woman who'd been at every family gathering for the past 5 years, always whispering in my parents' ears. What about her? She's not just a financial advisor. She runs these seminars about cycle of support wealth building, basically teaching parents how to redistribute their children's assets for family optimization. I nearly choked on my salad. That's a thing? A very controversial thing. 3 complaints filed against her last year alone. I remembered how Harmony would corner me at family events, asking detailed questions about my career, my savings, my future plans. Always with that predatory smile. "Your parents are her star pupils," Ruby continued. "She uses them as a case study in her seminars. The perfect example of family-first financial planning." My phone buzzed. A text from Eloise. "Your parents are so amazing. They just booked us a honeymoon villa in Bali. First class, everything." I showed Ruby the text. She raised an eyebrow. "More of your money?" "Has to be. They couldn't afford their own retirement before raiding my account." That afternoon, I drove to my parents' house while they were at their country club. I still had a key. They never thought to ask for it back. In Dad's study, I found what I was looking for. A folder labelled Family Optimization Plan. Inside was a detailed strategy, written in Harmony's flowing script. Steps for redistributing family wealth and prioritizing hierarchical needs. My name appeared repeatedly, always followed by dollar amounts and withdrawal schedules. But it was the letter tucked in the back that made my blood run cold. "Dearest Stacey," it began in Mum's handwriting. "By the time you read this, we'll have completed the family optimization plan. We want to thank you for stepping aside so Carson can step forward. Your sacrifice will ensure the family legacy continues through him. We know you'll understand. You always do. Love, Mum and Dad." They'd written me off, planned it all, expected me to just accept it with a smile. My phone rang. Speak of the devils. "Honey," Mum's voice chirped, "we're planning the farewell dinner for our cruise. You'll be there, right? Sunday at 7. I gripped the letter tight. Wouldn't miss it. The farewell dinner was exactly what you'd expect. Mum ordered expensive wine. Dad talked about their 3-month luxury cruise itinerary. Carson and Eloise gushed about Bali. To family, Dad raised his glass, and to new beginnings. Everyone clinked glasses. I sipped my water. "Stacey," Harmony appeared beside me, that same predatory smile in place. "How are you holding up?" "Just fine," I matched her smile. How's the seminar business? She flinched slightly. Oh, you know about that? I know a lot of things, Harmony. Like, how many complaints have been filed against your practice? Her smile vanished. Your parents made their own choices. Did they? Or did you convince them that stealing from their daughter was good financial planning? I simply showed them options, she hissed. They chose to optimize their family's future. Optimize? I laughed coldly. Is that what we're calling theft now? Careful, dear. Her voice dropped lower. You wouldn't want to make a scene. No, I agreed, standing up. I wouldn't want to announce to everyone here that you're under investigation for financial misconduct. That would be awkward. I left her pale-faced at the table and walked to where my parents sat. The cruise looks amazing, I said sweetly. 3 whole months at sea. That's a long time to be away from home. You'll keep an eye on the house, won't you, honey? Mom asked, and of course. I smiled. That's what family's for, right? Dad beamed, probably thinking I'd finally accepted their optimization. If only they knew what was coming. That night, I sat in my apartment, spreading out everything I'd gathered. Bank statements, Harmony's planning documents, the letter. My phone lit up with a text from Ruby. Everything's in place. Ready when you are. I looked at the cruise itinerary on my desk. 3 months at sea. Just enough time for everything to fall apart back home. They thought they'd written the end of this story, but I was about to show them it was just the beginning, and unlike them, I wouldn't need to steal anything to watch their world crumble. I want to understand why, I said, sitting across from my parents at their dining room table. 1 week before the cruise, and I needed answers. Why did you think this was okay? Mum folded her napkin precisely, the way she always did when preparing a practiced speech. Honey, you're still single. Your time will come. That's not an answer. Your brother has responsibilities now, Dad cut in. A wife, a future family. We had to ensure he had the right foundation. With my money? Family money, he corrected. Everything we do is for this family's benefit. I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app. Let's look at those benefits. $100,000 gone, plus the $30,000 before that, plus all the smaller withdrawals. Don't be dramatic, Mum sighed. You're young, you'll earn it back. You really think I have nothing left, don't you? They exchanged that knowing look again, the one that said, poor, naive Stacey. We know exactly what you have, Dad said firmly. We've managed your account since you started working. I stood up slowly. You managed what I let you see. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across their faces. My phone rang, an unknown number. Hello? Ms. Baker? This is Thomas from First Capital Bank. I'm calling about an attempt to access your dormant account from your first employer. We needed to verify... I stepped into the kitchen, watching my parents through the doorway. What attempt? Your parents visited our branch today with a power of attorney document, but it doesn't cover this particular account. Should we grant them access? Absolutely not, and please flag any future attempts. I walked back to the dining room. Mum was rearranging the flowers in the centerpiece, her towel when she's nervous. Trying to find more of my money? I asked quietly. Dad's face reddened. We have every right. No, I cut him off. You don't, and you never did. We raised you, Mum burst out. Everything you are is because of us. Everything I am is in spite of you. Ruby's words echoed in my head. Document everything. I pressed record on my phone. Let's talk about Harmony Powell, I said, about her seminars, about how she taught you to steal from your own daughter. We did not steal. Dad slammed his hand on the table. We redistributed family assets according to need. Say that again, I said calmly. about redistributing assets. He realized too late that he was being recorded. "Turn that off," he growled. "Why? Afraid of hearing your own words?" Mom started crying. Her favorite tactic when losing control. "How can you do this to us? After everything we've sacrificed?" "Sacrificed?" I laughed. "You sacrificed my future for Carson's extravagance. You sacrificed my trust for your retirement cruise. Tell me, what exactly did you sacrifice?" "Get out!" Dad pointed to the door. "Until you learn respect." "Respect?" I stood my ground. "Like the respect you showed me when you drained my account? Or the respect you showed when you wrote that lovely letter thanking me for stepping aside?" They froze. The letter. Their smoking gun. "Yes, I found it," I continued. "Your little confession. Very touching. The perfect evidence." "Evidence?" Mum whispered. "Evidence for what? For when this all comes crashing down?" I walked to the door, then turned back. "Enjoy your cruise. I hear international roaming charges can be quite expensive." That night, Ruby came over with wine and her laptop. "Everything's documented," she said, pulling up files. "Bank records, transfers, that letter, Harmony's involvement, even recorded conversations. If they try anything legal, they'll bury themselves." "They think I'm broke," I said, sipping my wine. "They think I'm desperate. Let them think that. Makes the ending better." My phone buzzed. Carson calling. I ignored it. Another buzz. A text. "Mum and Dad said you're causing problems. Don't ruin this for everyone, sis. Know your place." I showed Ruby the text. She grinned. "Oh, he'll learn about places all right. Right at the bottom." I curled up on my couch, feeling lighter than I had in years. "They leave for the cruise next week. And we'll be ready." Ruby raised her glass. "To Karma. To Karma," I clinked my glass against hers. "And to having a real best friend, not just a family that treats you like an ATM. Let them enjoy their last few days of feeling superior. Let them board that ship thinking they've won." The tide was about to turn, and I would watch them drift into their own storm from the safety of solid ground. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just about getting even. It's about letting people crash on their own hubris, and my family was about to crash spectacularly. The cruise ship's horn bellowed across the port as my parents boarded, waving like royalty from the deck. Mom had posted 15 photos before they even set sail. "Living our best life," she captioned. 3 months of luxury with my soulmate." I watched their social media updates roll in over the first week. Dinner at the captain's table, couples massage at the ship's spa, wine tasting in the Mediterranean. "They're burning through money fast," Ruby noted, scrolling through the posts during our weekly dinner. "Designer shopping in Barcelona? That's not cheap." "They think they have an endless supply," I said, stabbing at my pasta. "Between my stolen savings and their credit cards." "Speaking of credit cards," Ruby grinned, "got something to show you." She pulled up an email on her phone. "Remember that tip I sent to the Financial Crimes Unit about Harmony?" "Yeah, they're launching a full investigation. Seems she's been running this family optimization scam on dozens of families. And guess whose paper trail leads right back to her?" I felt a flutter of satisfaction. "How long until they freeze everything?" "Any day now. Your parents' accounts will be first, since they're the primary case study." My phone buzzed. Another Instagram notification. Mum posing in front of the Amalfi Coast. "Making memories that will last forever. Such blessed, just trashed cruise life." 2 days later, the first call came. "Stacey," Dad's voice was tight. "Have you heard from the bank?" "Which bank?" "Any bank. We're having some technical difficulties with our cards." "That sounds stressful," I said neutrally, "especially at sea." "This isn't a joke," he snapped. "We need you to transfer some money into our account." "I thought you had all my money already." Silence. Then, "This isn't the time for games." "No," I agreed, "it's not." I hung up. Within hours, Mum called. "Baby, please," she was crying. "We're stranded. The cards aren't working. The cruise line is asking questions." "Have you tried asking Carson?" "He's not answering our calls." Of course he wasn't. Golden Boy never stuck around when things got tough. "Remember when you said I'd bounce back?" I asked. "That I was the responsible one?" "Stacey, please." Guess you were right. The next day, Eloise posted photos from Bali, the honeymoon they'd bought with my money. Paradise found, so blessed to have such generous in-laws. I clicked the little heart under her post. Let them all keep thinking everything was fine. Then came the desperate voicemail. "Stacey." Dad's voice was barely recognizable. Something went wrong. The accounts are frozen, all of them. They're saying it's fraud. They're asking about Harmony. "What did you do?" I played the message for Ruby. "Wow," she whistled. "He actually sounds scared." He should be. I showed her the email I'd just received from the financial crimes investigator. They wanted my statement about Harmony's scheme, about how my parents had been her star pupils in stealing from their children. "You going to respond?" "Already did. Sent them everything. The recordings, the letter, the transfer records. Even Mum's social media posts showing how they're spending stolen money." My phone lit up. Carson calling. I let it ring. "He'll try to fix it," Ruby warned. "He always does." Not this time. I opened my banking app, looked at my secret account. The money they didn't know about. The safety net they thought they'd stolen. This time, they're all going down together. Another call. The cruise line's customer service. "Ms. Baker, we're calling about your parents' suite. There seems to be a problem with their payment method." "Really?" I feigned surprise. "That's odd. They're usually so good with money." "They've asked us to contact you about settling the bill." "I'm sure they did." I paused. "Unfortunately, I'm not in a position to help, but I'd be happy to give you the contact information for their financial advisor." That night, I sat on my balcony, sipping wine and watching the sunset. My phone buzzed with a text from Mum. "We don't recognize you anymore." I smiled, thinking of all the times they'd failed to recognize my achievements, my worth, my right to my own money. Now they were floating somewhere in the Mediterranean, watching their carefully constructed world crumble. Ruby was right. Karma doesn't always come naturally. Sometimes you have to help it along. And I was just getting started. The calls kept coming. I ignored them all. 12 missed calls from Dad, Ruby noted, looking at my phone. 8 from Mum. 3 from Carson. They're getting desperate. Good. I took my phone back, deleted the notifications. Then came the texts. "Dad, the ship's purser is threatening to contact authorities." Mum, "Please, baby, we can't even buy dinner." Carson, "What the hell did you do? Fix this now." I blocked Carson's number first. Then Mum's. Left Dad's open. I wanted to hear him break. The email from the cruise line was professional but firm. "Dear Ms. Baker, your parents have provided your contact as their emergency financial guarantor. Current outstanding charges total $47,823. I forwarded it to Ruby with a laughing emoji. "You're evil," she texted back. "I love it." My work phone rang, Dad trying a different angle. "Hello? Finally?" He sounded breathless. "Listen carefully. Everything's frozen. Every account. They're saying something about fraud investigations and Harmony." "I know." A pause. "What do you mean, you know?" "I mean, I know everything's frozen. I know about the fraud investigation. I know about Harmony's scheme. I know how you and Mum were her star pupils in stealing from your children." "We did not steal. Save it for the investigators, Dad. They're very interested in your family optimization plan. Another pause. Then, softer. We're stuck here, Stacey. No money. No way home. Sounds scary. For God's sake, we're your parents. Are you? Because parents protect their children. They don't drain their accounts. They don't write letters thanking them for stepping aside. I heard Mum in the background crying. Always crying when she couldn't control things. What do you want? Dad's voice was barely a whisper now. I want you to feel what I felt. Helpless, betrayed, stranded. We'll lose everything. Like I lost everything. That was different. No, it wasn't. You just thought I was too weak to fight back, too dutiful to say no, too stupid to have a backup plan. The line crackled with his heavy breathing. How much? He finally asked. How much to make this go away? I laughed. You still don't get it. This isn't about money anymore. This is about consequences. Please, he was begging now. We can't even get off the ship. Actually, you can. The embassy helps stranded citizens all the time. Of course, it's a bit embarrassing. Mom grabbed the phone. Stacey, baby, please. We're sorry. We'll make it right. Like you made it right for Carson? Tell me, how's his Bali honeymoon going? He's not answering our calls either. Shocking. The golden child abandoning ship when things get tough? Who could have predicted that? A new voice in the background. Someone official sounding. Mum quickly whispered, They're saying we have 24 hours to settle the bill, or they're contacting authorities. Sounds like a you problem. We're your family. No, I said quietly. You're just people who raised a bank account. I hung up and blocked Dad's number too. Minutes later, my laptop pinged with an email notification. The Financial Crimes Unit wanted to schedule an interview. They were particularly interested in the letter my parents had written, apparently premeditating the whole scheme. Ruby called. You see the news? Harmony just got arrested. They're calling it the biggest financial advisory scam in the state. I opened the news article. There was Harmony's mugshot, that predatory smile replaced by defeat. Your parents are mentioned, Ruby continued, not by name yet, but as primary collaborators who helped promote her scheme. My phone buzzed with an unknown number. Carson, trying from a different phone. What? I answered. You vindictive bitch, he snarled. You've ruined everything. No, Carson. You all did that yourselves. They're talking about pressing charges against our parents. Again, consequences. I'm coming for whatever money you have left, he threatened. I smiled. Good luck finding it. Oh, and, Carson, better cancel that Bali villa. Pretty sure those cards aren't working anymore. I hung up and poured myself a glass of wine. My phone lit up with one last text, from an international number. Mum's last attempt. We don't even have enough for food tomorrow. Please, just enough to get home. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I opened my banking app and made a transfer. 200 was just enough for them to contact the embassy and survive until help arrived. Because unlike them, I wasn't cruel. Just done. The embassy arranged their return flight. Economy class. I watched their descent through Facebook posts, from luxury cruise photos to a single sad update from Mum. Coming home early. Keep us in your prayers. Ruby brought popcorn the day they were due back. You sure you want to do this? They need to hear it from me, I said, checking my watch. They'll be home in an hour. Want me to stay? No. This is something I need to do alone. I drove to their house, using my key one last time. Sat in the dark living room, waiting. At 7:43 p.m, I heard their taxi pull up. The front door opened. They looked awful. Exhausted, unwashed, wearing the same clothes from their last cruise photos. They froze when they saw me. Sit down, I said quietly. We need to talk. Mom started crying immediately. Dad just looked old. The investigators want to meet tomorrow, I continued. They have some questions about your involvement with Harmony's scheme. We didn't know, Mom whispered. We thought it was legal. Really? Because I found all the seminar materials, the planning documents, the step-by-step guide to draining your children's accounts. We did it for Carson, Dad said weakly. How's that working out? Has he called? They exchanged glances. No, of course he hadn't. The cruise line is pressing charges for the unpaid bills, I continued. The bank is investigating the unauthorized transfers. And Harmony? I smiled. She's talking a lot. We'll lose everything, Mum sobbed. Like I lost everything. You clearly didn't lose everything, Dad snapped, a flash of his old anger. You had money hidden away. You planned this. Yes, I did. Because, unlike you, I learned from watching Carson. I saw how you enabled him, bankrupted yourselves covering his mistakes. I knew eventually you'd come for my money too. We're your parents. No, I stood up. You're thieves who happened to raise me. Mum reached for me. Please, we can fix this. Fix what? The fraud charges, the stolen money, the years of treating me like your personal ATM. We can sell the house, Dad offered desperately. Pay you back. The house? I laughed. You mean the house that's about to be seized as part of the fraud investigation? That house? They went pale. Here's what's going to happen, I continued. Tomorrow you'll meet with the investigators. You'll tell them everything about Harmony's scheme, how she recruited you, how she taught you to steal from your children, how you helped promote her seminars. They'll arrest us, Dad whispered. Maybe. Or maybe they'll show mercy if you cooperate. Either way, it's out of my hands now. My phone buzzed, a text from Carson. You happy now? You destroyed our family. I showed them the text. Your golden child speaks. He's under a lot of stress, Mum defended weakly. Aren't we all? I walked to the door, then turned back. Oh, and I'm keeping copies of everything. Every document, every transfer record, every confession. Try anything, and they go public. You'd do that to your own family? Dad's voice cracked. Family? I smiled coldly. You taught me exactly what family means. It means taking what you want and calling it love. It means sacrificing others for your own benefit. It means... I pulled out their letter, read it aloud. Stepping aside so others can step forward. Mum slid to the floor sobbing. Dad just stared at his hands. I transferred you $200 during your cruise, I said. Just enough to survive. Consider that the last time I'll ever step aside for this family. I dropped my house key on the table. Goodbye. Good luck with the investigators. Outside, Ruby was waiting in her car despite my telling her not to stay. How'd it go? They're broken, I said, buckling my seatbelt. And broke. Good. She pulled away from the curb. Want to get drunk? My phone buzzed again. One last text from Mom. We don't recognize you anymore. I typed back. Good. The daughter you knew died the day you chose to steal her future. The woman I am now, she's someone you created. Hope it was worth it. Then I blocked their last number and turned to Ruby. Yes, let's get very drunk. Because tomorrow the real fallout would begin. Tomorrow they'd face the investigators, the banks, the cruise line lawyers. Tomorrow they'd start paying for their choices. But tonight I would celebrate being free from the weight of their expectations, their manipulation, their toxic love. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just watching people fall, it's walking away while they do. The doorbell rang as I was finishing my morning coffee. A courier handed me a thick cream envelope with gold lettering. You are cordially invited to celebrate the wedding of Carson and Melissa. I almost laughed. Carson and Eloise's marriage hadn't even lasted 3 months after the Bali honeymoon got cancelled. Now he was trying again, this time at Lake Tahoe. The invitation noted that it would be an intimate family affair. Ruby came over for our weekly dinner, bringing Thai food and the latest updates. Your parents sold their house, she said between bites of pad thai. Got less than half what they wanted, but the lawyers said take it. Where are they living? Some cousin's place in Arizona. Your dad's looking for work, but at his age... I nodded, pushing my food around. And Harmony? Took a plea deal. She's testifying against everyone involved. Your parents got immunity for cooperating, but they're named in all the civil suits. My phone lit up, a text from Carson's new fiancée. I know there's been drama, but Carson really wants you at the wedding. Fresh start? Delete, Ruby advised. He only wants you there because his rich friends bailed after the scandal. I stared at the invitation. You know what's funny? They really thought they were doing the right thing, building some kind of family legacy. Through theft. Through control. I got up and walked to my balcony, looking out at the city. They controlled everything. My money, my choices, my future. Until they couldn't. Ruby followed me out. Any regrets? About stopping them? No. I turned to face her. About not stopping them sooner? Maybe. My laptop pinged. An email notification. The final settlement document from the bank's fraud investigation. They'd recovered some of my stolen money, but more importantly, they'd uncovered every detail of my parents' involvement in Harmony's scheme. Your dad left another voicemail, Ruby said quietly. I played it on speaker. Stacey, I don't expect you to forgive us, but I need you to understand. We thought we were protecting the family. We thought... I don't know what we thought anymore. Your mother's not well. The stress, just... If you could call... I deleted it. They're still trying to manipulate you, Ruby observed. I know, but it doesn't work anymore. I picked up the wedding invitation and ripped it in half, then quarters, then let the pieces fall from the balcony like confetti. You know what I learned from all this? I said, watching the papers scatter. Family isn't about sacrifice. It's not about stepping aside or giving up your future for someone else's. Real family builds each other up. Like us? Yeah, I smiled. Like us. My phone buzzed, an unknown number. Hello, Ms. Baker? This is Andrea from First Capital Bank. Remember that dormant account from your first employer? We've completed the fraud review, and with interest, there's an additional $30,000. Add it to my main account, I said, the one no one else can access. After I hung up, Ruby raised an eyebrow. More hidden money? The universe has a sense of humour. I showed her the bank alert. That's exactly how much they took in their first reallocation. Poetic justice. We stood in comfortable silence, watching the city lights come on as dusk settled. They'll try again, Ruby said finally. Carson, your parents, they'll keep trying to pull you back in. Let them try. I closed my laptop, shutting out the last traces of their drama. I'm done being anyone's backup plan. My phone lit up one last time, a final text from Mum. We miss who you used to be. I typed back. I don't. I like who I am now. Goodbye, Mum. Then, I turned off my phone, poured 2 glasses of wine and handed one to Ruby. To family, she raised her glass. To choosing your own family, I corrected. We clinked glasses as the sun set, casting long shadows across my balcony. Somewhere in Arizona, my parents were probably still plotting their comeback. Somewhere in Tahoe, Carson was probably promising his new fiancée the world. But here, in this moment, I was exactly where I needed to be. Free from their manipulation. free from their expectations, free from the weight of being everyone's safety net. Sometimes the happiest endings aren't about forgiveness or reconciliation. Sometimes they're about walking away and building something better. And I was already building